The American Farriers Association is proud to present the first of a 4-part series on getting the most from your tools with certified journeyman farrier Roy Bloom.
So you're stuck. You have to go buy an anvil. Doggone it.
This exclusive presentation is brought to you by Anvil Brand. Anvil Brand is your one-stop shop for the largest inventory of hoof care products under one roof. For the biggest selection of farrier and blacksmith equipment, tools, and supplies, shop Anvil Brand on the web or call toll-free. Roy Bloom is known as one of the best tool makers, farriers, and competitors in the United States. Shoeing since 1973, Roy understands the principles behind the tools farriers use every day. Through Bloom Forge, Roy develops forging and shoeing tools that work for professional farriers. In part 1 of Getting the Most from Your Tools, Roy explains how to customize your anvil to serve as your workbench.
Your anvil is your workbench. It's your tool. That's it. I mean, you're going to work on this all the time. And you have to make a decision as to what's your job. You know, if you're modifying pre-made shoes all the time, then you need one anvil. But if your intention is to forge and to make every shoe, then you need a different anvil. And the secret's all in the horn. The rounder the horn, the more versatility to the anvil, or to that horn. A lot of the anvils that are out today are set up to be keg shoe modifying anvils. The horns get flat on top. The flatter, the more of a modification. It allows you to straighten out a branch pretty quickly, to modify from a standard pattern to a hind pattern. But that flat horn does not give you the versatility to forge. It never will. It will, whatever the shape of that horn is, that is the shape that it will produce. Okay? So you have to make that decision back and forth. It's not to say that you can't do it with that modification anvil, but it's more difficult. You find yourself only working on a couple of inches, wherever the roundest portion is. You never get to utilize the entire tool anymore, because you always come up with the same shape all the time. And that's not what you're after. So it's just a simple matter of making that choice. A lot of folks don't forge all the time in the field. Sometimes it's not practical. Or I should say most of the time it's not practical to build every shoe at the horse. And that's not what we do anymore. I mean, there's so many shoes available. So why do I need this in the field? Well, I mean, it's an option. It's your option. You can, if you're going to shape every shoe hot, every shoe that you do, irregardless of whether you made it or someone else did, you throw it in the fire and you're going to modify it, get a round horn so that you have that versatility to do anything. If your job is that you are strictly going to do that, and a lot of the strictly modified keg shoes, and what you're doing is going to be cold all the time, then you don't want this. You want every gewgaw on that thing that you can possibly get. Turning cams and boat tails on the end and flatness into the horn, and you want it all. In fact, you don't need any of that, because all the gewgaws are on one of these stall jacks. It has everything. It has places to turn to. Oh my goodness, you can get crazy with that thing. But you see, I picked that up with one hand and walked around with it. You can't do that. You can't show up at a place and just pick up something and walk out with. Well, some fellows can maybe, but most horse owners want to hear you grunt when you get there. So you're going to have to get something a little bigger. They want to hear that off the truck in the early morning thing. Or maybe it's because it's the 5th stop of the day, you know. So you're stuck. You have to go buy an anvil. Doggone it. So you get this anvil and you've made your decision. This is what I want to do. When you get it back, those edges on that thing are going to be sharp enough to cut you. And sharp edges are good for only one thing, and that is cutting. Okay, it cuts material. There's no sharp edges in blacksmithing other than to cut the material. Okay? So you need to put a radius on the edges of that anvil. And then the radiuses can vary. This particular anvil has been set up with some pretty nice little radiuses. We've got a nice sharp radius running right across the majority of the front, maybe about a 1/16, but the edge has been knocked off, and that's the important thing. It just knocked the edge off. Up closer to the step, we've got a 2.5 inch area here, and it kind of slowly tapers down to about a 1/4 inch radius. And we've got a good 1/4 inch on the back. And we've got the same 1/4 inch on the inside, on that heel. And the back has about a 1/8 radius across it. The radius across the back matches the radius on the flat side of your hammer. Right in there. Those two radiuses should be the same. Because this is the pinch area. We need an OSHA sticker back here that says pinch zone, so you don't get in trouble. But this is, now we're talking about a bit of blacksmithing here. You cannot step material down evenly with two different radiuses on either side. It doesn't work that way. So setting it up like that and guiding with your hammer, that's pretty good. And you can modify that too. You can leave that area alone and make one other area a little bit sharper, because maybe you like to draw your clips back here, so you want maybe a little sharper radius for that. I mean, this is your workbench. Set it up for the work that you do. Put the anvil at the right height for you. And we're all different lengths. The old standby is to just stand next to it and drop your hand just comfortably, and your knuckles should just kind of brush over the top of that. That's a good place to start. Get used to that. It's a nice thing. Don't jack it up in the air. Don't set it way down on the ground. Don't make it so you have to bend over all the time to work on it. If you're working some real light stuff all the time, pick it up. You're not going to be hitting with your shoulder and your arm. You're just going to be tapping with your wrist, so there's no sense to be bent over. And there is a thing that everybody does. I don't care who you are, but the more detailed and the more fine the work gets, the closer your face has to get to that work. It's the law. I don't know what it is, but you'll watch fellas they'll turn the branch, and then when they come in to box off a little something, they get right down in there. Your face gets a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. Well, if you're doing that light stuff all the time, you don't need to be like that. Pick it up. Get your anvil up a little way so you can straighten out your back a little bit. Your hammer needs to match you as an individual. Every one of us has a different hand. You want that hammer handle to match your hand. That's important. There is no manufacturer. When you go buy a brand new hammer, the manufacturer can't fit everybody. So it's up to you to fit that handle to you.